Perfect. Hi, I'm Cathy Eggers. I'm a trained consultant here at Peace Health, and I am with Lynn Hunt, who is an OD consultant with our organization. I'd like to thank you for agreeing to interview with me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So you are an OD consultant with our organization. Could you draw us a mental picture of what that means exactly?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and something that actually OD consultants struggle with a lot is describing what it is that we do. But recently, my boss sent a flow chart of kind of an impact analysis of how OD impacts the organization, at least how we hope to impact the organization. And what it shows is the caregivers that we have entering the organization, what happens, what are their experiences as they live their life through our organization, and how OD impacts that. For example, everything from onboarding, we help shape the new hire orientation process, we help shape the performance assessment process and the goal setting process, the caregiver experience survey, so understanding how caregivers are experiencing their work teams and how we can help improve that. We get the results, we analyze them, we work with leaders to help them understand what the results mean and how we can help them maybe improve the working conditions for the caregivers that they work with. And then we work with leadership and development training, making recommendations for what sort of development opportunities are available within our organization. And then just hoping that we can improve the workforce and the caregiver's experience while they're working here. And so ultimately, the goal is that that would impact the patient experience and that our patients are well cared for and that their health improves and that they experience the healing that we hope they will, spiritually and as well as physically while they're here. So
okay, great. That's a lot, like you said, it's very lots of different ranges of things that you do in there. So I know, how long have you been in the organizational development field, and what made you decide to pursue this career? Did you just kind of fall into it, or was it actually a career path you chose?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my story is a little bit like a circle. I started when I decided I wanted to go to graduate school. My undergraduate degree is in organizational psychology, or we used to call it industrial organizational psychology. That's what my degree is in. Right. And pretty soon after that, I realized I needed to go to graduate school to do the work that I really wanted to do. So I started graduate school in the University of Oregon, and as I started, they said, well, we're really only going to have this program for one more year, and it was a 2-year program. So the recommendation was that I get my degree through the business school in the human resource department, and then just take as many electives as I could in the OD department, which was in the psychology department. So that's what I did. And then the reality is that a lot of organizations don't have OD. It's harder to find, and so there were many more job opportunities in human resource management. So that's where I ended up after graduate school, was with in a human resource role, and that's where I spent most of my career. And that's what I started at Peace Health, was an HR partner. But in the new HR delivery model, there was a position called OD consultant, and I applied for that and was accepted into that role. So it's actually taken me, 25 years to come full circle into the work that I really wanted to do.
It does seem to be kind of a growing field, especially I know in our organization there seems to be a lot more focus on that part of it now. I think it's something a lot more organizations need to focus on as well, because especially with dealing with change and stuff.
And I actually didn't mention that when you asked for the description of what we do, and that's a big part of my role right now, is change management. Another thing that the OD consultants often do that overlaps with program implementation is change management. So I'm the change lead on a couple big IT implementations right now. And OD consultants often in the different networks will fill that role when the network is going through a big IT change.
Yeah, I know when I was researching organizational development, a lot of times it was kind of hand in hand with that change management also. So you kind of look for different jobs. If you searched for organizational development, a lot of times they also had change management positions show up as well. So.
And that's relatively recent.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the last couple of years.
I know we've talked before, and I think you have kind of an interesting educational background. So you've already mentioned a little bit of what you studied, but what else have you studied, and what do you think, which coursework or degree really helped you in your current role, do you think, the most?
That's hard to pinpoint. I mean, and that's one of the things about OD, it's really diverse.
Mm-hmm.
So in my role right now, I'll tell you what I've noticed. So first of all, I have a bachelor's in organizational psychology, and part of that, we had to take a lot of statistics.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I'm using that because Peace Health is just recently contracted with Moorhead to do our caregiver experience survey, and that comes with a lot of data.
Uh-huh.
And that background has helped me look at data and understand it, and it's something I've always liked too.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember my statistics very much.
Well, it's not really complex statistics,
Uh-huh.
but still being able to understand and look at numbers and what they mean and their relationships to each other. So I'd say that's something I've been using recently that maybe I haven't used in a while, although you also use that in human resource management for affirmative action plans and things like that. But anyway, so that's something I've been using recently. And then, honestly, a lot of the OD that I learned when I was getting my master's isn't that relevant anymore. I mean, the theories and philosophies have changed a lot in the last 25 years. So, but one of the things in my education I haven't mentioned yet is that along the way, I became really interested in mediation and conflict resolution. Mm-hmm. So, at one point, I left the human resource field for a while, and I got a degree at Willamette Law School in dispute resolution. They have a special program within their law school that either law students can major in dispute resolution or on a pretty limited basis, like 1 or 2 students a year, they'll allow to complete that program from outside the university. So I did that, and that was a great experience, and I've used that a lot too.
I can imagine that would be pretty useful in all kinds of places.
It is, and it's not so much just the conflict management, but it's also collaboration, working with people to find collaborative solutions. That happens a lot in the change management. And work with teams. What are the real underlying interests of this team? What do they really want? What are they looking for? Those are conflict resolution skills, and I'd say that's another one of the skills I use a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be a pretty important one. I actually think part of this degree is that we're currently in for the communications program is I don't think it's conflict resolution, but it's like crisis management type. There's a course on crisis management too that's part of our program.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I kind of can't wait for that one. So, so if someone wanted to pursue a career in organizational development at this time, what characteristics do you think they need to possess, or what skills would be best for them? Maybe just.
Well, first of all, just a real curiosity and interest in the field. I think that's fundamental. And then the OD degree is a master's degree. There's very few that I've seen that would be a bachelor's degree. It's usually usually you have a foundation bachelor's degree in human resource management, psychology, social work. It's interesting too, the OD consultants that we have right now for Peace Health. One has master's in social work. One has got her degree in OD from Antioch, I believe. And her background was IT and process improvement. And another one also has her master's from Antioch. And then the other was me, and then we just hired somebody else too, and her background is education. So we have quite a broad group.
Yeah, that's my background too, would be education, so side of it. I think it'd be kind of interesting to have the computer IT part and then organizational development kind of seem.
Yeah, well, it all has a lot of crossover with process improvement, so I think that's where that comes from.
So an interest in the field, and then what and then the degrees, and then is there anything personally or like characteristics that you think are fitting for people in the field, or?
I think just a curiosity too, and being able to be open-minded about things, being able to work with a lot of different groups of people.
Okay.
That's another one.
Yeah, that would probably be a good one.
And you don't have to be an extrovert, but you can't be somebody that just wants to stay in your office, because a lot of it involves interacting with people, leading meetings, facilitating, developing processes, and then helping to implement them.
So getting comfortable in front of a group.
Yeah,
would be good,
yeah,
so.
and not a huge group. I mean, we don't do a lot of presentations to hundreds of people, but being able to facilitate work groups is mostly, I'd say, the skill.
Okay. So, what do you think the most important piece of advice that you could give someone currently graduating from college would be for someone who would be interested in this field?
Okay. Well, that's a great question, because it's hard to get experience in it, since the roles are fairly limited.
It's kind of challenging for a lot of jobs. You get that.
Yeah, so are you asking about somebody coming out of college that is looking for a job, or looking for experience, or thinking of going back to school, or?
Probably any of those would be, any one of those that you can kind of think of an answer for would be good. This is kind of just for people that would be interested in the field, finding out more about it. So it might be, how would they get experience in it, or?
They might be able to find an internship, or an opportunity maybe to experiment in a nonprofit that can't afford to pay them, but they could do volunteer work as an OD consultant, maybe. Try to read and then do, on their own and apply it, might be an idea. Human resource management, there's a lot of overlap, but that tends to be a little more regulatory,
Right.
So that's a tough one. I mean, like I said, people get to it usually through other routes.
So, yeah, like you said, the ones that we currently have all have different backgrounds too. But, so probably just getting their foot in the door in a company that they're interested in, and kind of just watching all they can and getting involved in all they can. So, okay, what do you currently find to be the 3 most rewarding aspects of your career?
Well, I really enjoy when I get to work with a group, a team that's struggling, and working with them and helping them figure out what it is that would improve their work situation, improve their the service and the care that they provide to their patients. I find that really really rewarding. Those are a couple of projects I worked on that come to mind right away.
Right. So getting a team to be together again and interested in their work.
I mean, you can find teams that are just technically they know what to do, but working together is a little bit more difficult, so that's what we can provide.
Right. Okay. And then lastly, organizational development is a really broad field, and it's a growing field. So where do you see yourself in 3 years?
Yeah, the conflict management, that's my real passion, is mediation and conflict management, and my hope is that someday I can incorporate more of that into my work, and someday maybe Peace Health will have an ombuds person, and I'd love to do that, or have a role that focuses more on just conflict management. That would be my ideal. Otherwise, I'm happy to stay doing what I'm doing. So that's one of the things about the OD role, is it could be different all the time. And if you look at all the 4 or 5 OD consultants that we have right now within Peace Health, we're all doing different things right now within that scope of OD. It's just because the networks and the communities that we serve have different needs.
Right.
So it's never a dull moment.
Right.
And I have a whole list of things that as soon as I'm done with these big integration projects that I want to work on.
Yeah, that is kind of I think it would be an interesting thing about your field, and mine's similar too, but yours is on a larger scale. But definitely, it's not like doing the same thing over and over again every day. So.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not doing the same thing over and over.
Okay.
Maybe for a few months, you work on one project a lot, but then it changes.
Okay.
So.
Well, great. Thank you for sharing, and it was good talking with you. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
too. Well, thanks for showing an interest.
Thank you.